58, 59. Lost count. Seven, 58, 59. Lost count. Eight, 59. Lost count.
Battle Axe Theater contains vaping, which is not as cool as smoking, vulgar language, which is not as cool as nudity, and drinking, which is sort of cool. In other words, viewer discretion is advised.
Battle Axe Theater. That's a good name.
Battle Axe, man. He brought the preach video.
Battle Axe Theater.
Death from Battle Axe. I don't know if you guys have seen, he just rants, and it's awesome. And he just starts screaming and yelling. I need to have a beer with that guy.
Woo!
Hey!
Yeah, we got some audio. Cool. All right. What is up, everyone? Hopefully you're having a great, fantastic Monday.
I am not. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Straight up.
Feel you on that one, man. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here.
Can't see nothing with these.
Been remodeling my office, doing some technical upgrades and whatnot. So things are a little wonky, and I don't really know what's going on with the quality of the stream. So we'll be better next time.
I feel like we say that a lot.
Hey man,
next time, guys.
We get a little bit better every time. I
yeah,
think.
that's true. That's true. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. I just want to say from the top of the show, I'm a little grumpy. Not had a good day, not had a lot of sleep. So if I seem a little whiny, just it's
It's another
just,
day.
It's another Monday. It's just a Monday. That's the only thing good about a Monday is we get to come on here and talk about video games and nerd news and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've got some stuff in store for you guys. I just want to say hello to everyone. What is up, Hoy J or Hoy Ye rather, and we got Pantheon Plus, which is minus, I'm assuming.
yes, sir.
We got
Yes, sir.
Desroth, hello, and what's up, Z, and everyone else who is here with us this evening. It's always one of those.
Oh, what's up, Saint
Oh.
Dad? Okay,
Saint
all right.
Dad. What's up, brother?
Oh.
All right, well, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it, man.
All right, well, our first segment here, as everybody knows, we are a Monday stream, not a Friday stream, so we're going to talk about what we did last week, this week, and all that jazz. It's the weekend review. Woo, doggy! That segment is so long, but it's perfect for the sound.
Yeah, and my reflections on the dashboard. But it's cool.
Well, I mean,
It's very realistic. I'll give you that.
So, you want to start us off with what you did this past week, brother?
I'll tell you what happened this week. Daylight saving time, springing forward, losing an hour. It just turned dark here in Texas, and I hate it. And I know you have thoughts on that, but man, yeah, that really sucks. I like it when it gets dark early. I love cold. I love darkness. So
You
it's
fucking
bumming
Batman
me.
over there?
Maybe a little bit. But like it's daylight outside, and you're like, oh, it's still early. No, it's not. It's freaking 7 o'clock, and you're like, oh my god, I got like 4 hours left for the night, and my night's over. No. Well, I went to a St. Patty's party this weekend, and it sucked. We snuck out. We went with a group of drunk girls, and we kind of trailed along out of the party and just went to our cars and came back home. And what else did I do? Guild Wars 2. I've been diving into Guild Wars 2, trying out the PvP mainly, and I was telling you a little bit about this. Their system is a little different, and it's growing on me, dude. It's like if you want to play that game strictly for PvP, you can. You'll eventually need to get 80 for the extra talent specs or whatever you want to call them. But dude, the PvP is awesome. People talk. People are like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Like, "Hey, fam," whatever they say, the kids say these days. But it's the community of Guild Wars is awesome. I've added like 4 people to my friends list. Just I asked one question, and they want to just like, yeah, check out this resource and this resource. And I forgot to tell you, Punk.
What's up?
Guild Wars 2 has this a similar command like Project Gorgon. I don't know if you knew that.
The wiki?
You can do the wiki command. That's awesome. So that's about it, man.
Yeah, Z, he's been messing around with Guild Wars 2 a little bit. We're toying with a new thing that Def might be starting up here on Battle Axe Theater, but we're gonna hold off until we know that's for certain before we announce it. But yeah, he's been messing around with that Guild Wars a little bit. You have anything else you want to add before I start talking?
I mean, that's the only that's about it. That's all I did.
Well, I've actually been messing around with that emulator for the Return of Reckoning, the Warhammer Online, and that's been pretty interesting. So I've been kind of in this frame of mind where I just haven't really been feeling like playing any games, and then I got this urge to play an MMO. Like, I wanted to play an MMO, but I didn't feel like paying for the WoW sub to get bored after 2 weeks and stop playing. So I just kind of just been sitting here doing nothing, playing some idlers and BS, and then all of a sudden, Lazy Peon puts out this thing, and I'm on Twitch trying to find somebody to, maybe scout or just talk to or just watch, and hanging out on Twitch, and somebody apparently I had, I guess, interest in at one point in time, pulled up their stream, and I didn't quite remember who this person was, but her and her boyfriend were playing and streaming Return of Reckoning, and I was like, wow, this actually looks pretty fun. So I loaded it up, and they had a double XP weekend this past weekend. They've had anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 players on a regular basis for the last week because of this XP event, and because Lazy Peon did a video on it. So they've been really busy, and it's been an experience, because if any of you guys have ever played Warhammer Online, you know how PvP oriented it was, is that every single zone leveling wise has a PvP area in it, and because of all these new people starting, the low B PvP zones are just really popping. So I've been having a good time, messing around with the PvP. I'm not a big PvPer, but it's nice to have. I like that realm versus realm type PvP where you can just walk in and get to fighting and interact with your fellow party members or whatever. So it's pretty cool. So if you guys are interested in these emulators, feel free to check that out.
I will say that is the most easy emulator to. It takes forever, but it's no work involved. You literally just download the file, install it, make an
It's
account.
like installing a regular game, right?
Yeah. It's not like EverQuest or Final Fantasy emulators where you have to like unzip files and all this stuff and sign up for 2 different things and do your taxes and give it to them. I don't know. It's a lot smoother, I guess.
Do your taxes and give it to them.
I don't know.
Now, I will
it
say,
seemed like a lot of work.
Roll20, it does look like, or Roll D20 rather, or Rolled 20, however you want to say it. I'll agree with you that there is some imbalance there, but at this point in time, I'm not really concerned about the balance, and I'm really just playing it I'm mindlessly going through the quest. I mean, it's one of those games where they're like, here's a quest, here's the markers to go do the quest, go do this thing, and I'm just kind of dinking around with it, and it just kind of playing it. But it's funny, or it's fun, and regardless, that is one of the unique things about them. Roll20 is saying is they have their own ideas of balancing content. So at its core, though, I mean, let's be real, it's an emulator. It's emulating, it's using core systems that they didn't actually create, but they have taken the game and taken it to a next level. They've created their own content for it, which makes it really cool. Anyway, moving along from that, I've also done an office remodel. We've done some networking upgrades, done some PC upgrades, got a whole new desk set up for my PC business. And so it's been a crazy week, and I don't think all the networking stuff is truly ironed out, obviously, because it doesn't look like doesn't really look like the stream is coming through all that clear, or it's the remote session. I don't know. I just hope you guys are enjoying this, and I'm really excited for an increased quality of workflow with my business. So that's what I've been up to. Been playing Return of Reckoning, working on the office, and doing some PC upgrades and whatnot. Yeah.
Nice. I got a sneak peek. Are we going to get a video of the office? Or?
I recorded a short video. It was before my 12mm lens came in, so it's kind of a wonky recording, but I'm going to use a 12mm lens in combination with various other lenses to go through the office. I'm waiting on some other things to come in to finalize things so I can kind of battle axe it up a little bit, maybe at least in my little
Gotcha.
corner over here, and then
Yeah.
the build area will be its own separate thing. So, but yeah, we'll definitely have a video with that here coming up. So that was last week, and speaking of last week, with the rear view wrapped up, I think we should maybe go into a couple of news topics. What do you say?
Let's do it. And now it's time for the Nerd News! Good evening, and thanks for tuning in to this part of the program where we discuss all things technology, comic books, film, art, and more.
All right, time to
I
roll
can't
into
wait.
some news topics. What's up?
I can't wait for us to get our new Nerd News videos done that isn't me looking like
It's my favorite segment. Transition.
uh
I mean,
Well,
it is.
you want me to start off?
Yeah, well, let's kind of go with the flow that we have. I'll have you do a couple of the topics that are there, and then I'll have you talk about the gaming related thing after
Okay.
I talk about what I need to talk about.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Well, last week we discussed the new Batman and
Right,
Patterson,
Pattinson.
the vampire guy that's playing a vampire bat.
Sparkles.
Yeah. Well, since then, the new Batmobile came out, and this is kind of like a side topic because I was discussing it with people, friends of mine, and some people were like, it's lame. And I'm like, what are you talking about? At least he has a car now. I know the tanks were cool. The tanks are cool, but like, Batman always had a Batmobile, you know what I mean? And now we get a Batmobile in the film, and the Batmobile and the last couple of movies have been ginormous tanks, you know?
Yeah.
And it looks really cool. I think I'm not a car guy. I know you are. But the back looks like a Dodge Charger, and it looks like a one of those fancy Mustangs in the front.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And like it looks cool. And people are judging it without even seeing the movie, even though I'm guilty of judging how I don't think this is going to be a good movie. And I hope I am wrong. I really, really, really. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, have you seen the new Batmobile? Is it cool? Is it lame? Do you wish there was a tank? Let us know, because I'm curious.
For me, like I'm kind of with you. Like I'm glad it's a car. Like for me, the iconic Batmobile is like the early '90s Batmobile, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got like the old Batmobile from like the Adam West Batman, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's like there's nothing wrong with changing it up. Like the whole Batman with I'm having a brain fart on his name. The guy,
Ben Affleck?
No, the one before Ben.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Christian Bale's Batman. It was a grittier, like darker type of Batman, I think.
Right.
And I think that's what they were going for. It was kind of like this whole in an era of like other superheroes, you know, your Marvel stuff. They had to compete, so they needed this this gritty, you know, realistic in a way, like if somebody had a bunch of money, what they could create, you know, like kind of like Iron Man.
Right.
So I think that's what they were going for. But to see it return back to a car and back to its roots, I mean, I don't know. I mean, looking at the pictures here, it looks a little bit on the jank side. Like it looks almost like it was put together via scraps instead of like a rich person building something in their Batcave. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's nice to return back to a car, and it's nice to have a new Batmobile for a newer generation to see as their Batmobile. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And we don't even know what this Batmobile can do. You know what I mean? So
We
I don't know.
It's
I'm
got to be
excited.
better than a motorcycle coming out of the middle of it. I don't know. That was just weird to me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Carlos says he likes the back, but not a fan of the front. Maybe it's the angle of the shot from the front. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think we'll have to come back to this once we actually see the movie, so that way we can, like, revisit this topic. I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, I just know I was just shocked that I've talked to people and they're like, I don't like it. I'm like, dude, it's kind of cool. It's a Batmobile.
Dude, it
you
looks
know?
like some shit out of fucking Mad Max. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I mean,
it looks cool. It looks cool.
We'll see. So, what was that other? You had another piece of news that was in the realm of science.
Well, I lost my article on it, to be honest with you. Let me pull that up real quick. But it's the Mars thing we discovered. What's the correct scientific word for it? Organic molecules on Mars.
Nice.
Here we go. Let's see. Thiophene. Does that make the thiophene molecules contain carbon and sulfur, which are the essentials for life. So they've been discovered on Mars, and
hold 1 second.
Okay.
I've lost us.
Uh-oh.
What is going on?
Ooh, I think. Whoa, we're like shadow-like. Are you seeing this, guys?
Let me just restart the OBS. I don't know why this keeps doing.
Hope Patterson impresses like affect. Patterson looks more like Nightwing. That would be awesome.
Oh, I know what I did. On me, it's my bad.
Uh-oh, what'd you do, man?
So I'm now realizing that if I accidentally minimize Discord, it stops capturing it. So that's my bad. I'm sorry. So they found dinosaurs on Mars. Is that what you were saying?
No. What I'm saying is we're getting closer to discovering I'm no scientist, guys. But if we're gonna see if there was life on Mars, but the main thing about the article, which will be in the description below, is the video that they added, and it's like a panoramic. I think it's like 4K HD. It's like super in depth, and you can see the craters that are in Mars. You can see the canyon lines, and you can see like it just looks like you're on freaking Mars. So I don't know if we have any space nerds, but like that's freaking awesome.
No, I haven't even checked that out yet. I'm gonna go take a look at that after the stream. That sounds awesome.
And it's pretty cool, and as it pans around, it shows some of the tools that Curiosity has and how it uses these tools. So I don't know. And I don't know if you remember the Curiosity launch, but that was freaking awesome. I was like in awe. Just like the Elon Musk when he did his rockets and they came back down. I was like, dude, I think you were watching it too, because we were like texting each other like, dude, yeah.
Yeah, are you talking about when the Falcon Heavy, or are you talking about? Because I remember I was so excited about the Falcon Heavy, and the first time that they landed the rockets, bro, I like lost my mind. I was like, fucking finally, yeah! I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. I'll have to check out that video. You guys should check out that video too after, or you can just listen to our sexy voices in the background. It's always nice to see nice, high quality images of other places outside of Earth. It's pretty cool. Whether it be a telescope that's in orbit or a rover of some sort. Definitely check that stuff out. Anything else you want to add?
Well, what do you got? Because the last thing I have is the gaming related stuff.
Okay, yeah. So so going from sciencey news into tech news, there's a couple things here that I wanted to talk about. A big one, especially for myself, considering I'm a bit of an AMD fanboy. But I'm also Intel has its place, but lately it doesn't have much of a place in modern PC culture because AMD is just stomping it. But AMD had its what do they call it? The Financial Analyst Day 2020 this year, last week or a couple days ago. And it was basically like a summit where they talk about everything that's coming up. And I'm really excited for this. They have stated that the new Zen 4 architecture, so if you guys are into AMD and you're aware of how they break up their cores so that way they can cram more or break up their processing chiplets inside of a processor, you'll know that right now they switched over to a 7 nanometer, which allowed them to make the processors more powerful, less energy consumption, so more power efficient, and they've increased the quality of how that bridge, if you will, interacts with the RAM, which is awesome. So they've stated that what they're going to be doing to match TSMC's production, so that's the TSMC is one of the major producers of chips for many places, whether it be Qualcomm or AMD or Intel. They have stated that they're going to reduce the size of the chiplets down to 5 nanometers. So it means they're going to be able to put in even more power, even more efficiency in the next generation, which is going to be super cool. So I'm really excited for that. They also announced that the next generation of Navi CPU or GPUs are coming out. So Def, you're using an AMD RX 480. And so they've come out with a couple new iterations, and then they went from they went from the Vega series up to Navi, which is like the 5700, the 5700 XT, the 5500, the 5600. Well, the next generation, they're saying, and for all you AMD fanboys and girls out there, they are saying that the next generation of Navi graphics cards are finally going to be able to compete with the next generation of NVIDIA graphics cards. So I'm stoked for that, because I was a big NVIDIA fan for a long time, dude. And I used them, and then I switched over to AMD, and then graphics cards when AMD bought out ATI. And I've been using AMD ever since, up until I switched over to the 2070, because there was nothing in the AMD space that would suit my needs, and that kind of sucks for an AMD fanboy, right?
Right.
So it's kind of nice that I'm able to look at the future prospects of an AMD graphics card to upgrade from this 2070. So that's pretty awesome.
Did they announce the G57 yet?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Oh,
They
damn. Damn. I was hoping for that, because I know the G57 is going to blow everything away.
Yeah, the G57 is going to make it so you never have to upgrade graphics cards again. It's going to be self-upgrading, right?
Yep. Everything you would want.
All right, moving on before this gets worse. This is one that kind of impacts all of us in the creator space, because I did mention this last week, and quite frankly, I'm going to mention the word again. The coronavirus. Any videos that are being mentioned any videos that mention COVID-19 or coronavirus on YouTube are at risk of demonetization. Luckily, we're not monetized just yet, so we can say it. So yeah, a lot of the bigger YouTube channels are having their videos demonetized, and one of the tech tubers that I follow, called Gamers Nexus, they're calling it human malware, so that way they can talk about it. And I love the fact that they're calling it that. It's great. So
that's funny.
Hey man, you got to do what you got to do to keep your stuff monetized, right?
Wear your anti-malware mask, everybody.
That's what they're saying, basically. So basically, YouTube has said they've actually tweeted this out: to protect people from misinformation, we're removing videos that violate our policies, discourage people from seeking medical treatment, or encourage the use of harmful cures to treat COVID-19. They've also said, given the rapidly updating news and education on COVID-19, we are reviewing our monetization policies around videos that discuss the virus. More to come. And one of the things that I thought was pretty cool was that they said, lastly, we are donating advertising space to the WHO, so that's a World Health Organization, and local government authorities and impacted regions to help educate and inform their communities, which I think is cool. So if they're demonetizing your videos, they're not going to stop putting ads up there. They're just not going to pay you for it, right?
Yeah.
So what they're saying is that they're going to use ad revenue, I guess, to try to boost awareness around COVID-19 coronavirus and try to help communities that are being impacted by it. So while it kind of sucks on one hand because again, it feels just like another form of censorship, and it's not something I really want to get too much into on this channel because it's really not what we do, is, that sort of thing. But I think it's kind of shit that, like, if you got something that you need to say, you can't say it just because the beliefs of a company might not align with your beliefs, whether it be scientific or otherwise.
But you guys are here for this and COVID-19, 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 coronavirus. I could say it all day long, right? No?
Corona,
Sorry.
Beer.
I mean,
But yeah,
we can get away with it. Yeah.
That's all I got for my tech portion. And we've got one last little segment here, which, from my understanding, you guys are going to be pretty excited about. I actually didn't get a chance to do the thing, but
Have you not?
No, dude, I was so busy today with these computer upgrades. But go ahead and drop it like it's hot.
Oh man. So, I think most of everyone in the chat tonight, maybe, had seen the new Pantheon race models.
Right.
Holy shit balls. And I was in the Pantheon live stream. I was in Baz's, and I went to Minus's afterwards. And I kept saying this one thing. I'm like, Scar's the new Ixar for all the EQs fans.
Grammarly
does
more.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Go ahead.
The Scar looks freaking sick, dude. And I love my evil races, and man, it looks good. And someone left us a text, and we'll get to it, that's related to this topic, and I agree with them 100%, but we'll get into that later. The art guide, dude, the detail, and they mentioned that the color of, the magic coming out of the skin will vary on, I can't remember, and someone in chat can confirm this, but I think it's going to depend on several things that you do in the game. So
interesting. So it could be lore oriented.
I don't know if it's lore oriented or spec or class. It's depending on your choices. Pantheon Plus just said. So yeah. Okay. So dude, that is pretty freaking awesome. And then the Dark Mirror was my least favorite, but it was a lot of people's other favorites.
I mean, they look interesting. They look very dark elfy in a way, because I guess they were supposed to be the dark elf replacement, or drow replacement, however you want to call it. I don't know though. There's something about playing a mermaid race with legs.
Well, there was a couple of questions during the stream.
Like when you go in the water, are your legs going to turn into mermaid tails?
Yeah. There was a couple of questions about the dark mirror. I still don't know if I should say mir or mirror.
It's mirror.
Yeah.
And everybody else is wrong.
If the starting city will start out underwater, and Joppa, I think he said maybe or yes. I can't remember yesterday.
Maybe and yes, that's two
separate
answers.
things. I understand that. But my point is that what I got from it was each race will have a starting city, and that's kind of him confirming that, and I love when Joppa is on a stream because he gives us more information than you can really ask for. If you just gotta read between the lines, you know what I mean? Like you could tell he's excited, and he confirms things like passively, if that makes sense.
You just got to let him talk.
Yeah. Which he'll be on Pantheon Plus You this Thursday, and I'm actually really excited for it because a lot of the Pantheon community are just going to be straight up asking questions. So who knows what he might accidentally reveal.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I hope I can
Yeah.
actually catch that one this week. I've
Yeah.
been missing everything. I've missed Standing in Fire. I've missed Voices of Turnus. I've missed Pantheon Plus. I've just been so busy, if you even want to call it that. Like I don't. My time management sucks, guys. I'm sorry.
We haven't played a game in what, a month?
Yeah, not really. Dabbled here and there, but not really.
Yeah, we don't even talk to each other anymore. Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking at the scar right now, and Jesus, it's crazy looking. And I don't know why, but I'm strangely attracted to the females.
Oh my God, what a freak!
But no, they're crazy looking. It's like they have like negative -5% body fat, and like they have no cartilage in their bodies. It's weird because they're very human-esque.
Yeah.
But they're also kind of reptile. I kind of like the old models better.
Really?
But, I mean, this adds a very human-like feel to them.
Well, I like the humanoid aspect. That was a lot of the talk of the discussion as well.
Okay.
I kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
minus it's the bobs. It definitely is the bobs.
I just kind of like... I don't know. I have this theory that, and I don't know if it's from previous things I watch, but I have some intergalactical theories on Pantheon. You know, I think there can be a lot of ways to take the lore in like a multiverse, if you will.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just totally guessing here. I could be completely off, but my point is, I kind of like the humanoid look. I like the direction they're going with these new models, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So,
well, I mean, it is what it is, and I don't think they're bad. It's just I had a preference to the other. The Scar were the lizard-looking ones before, right? They had the claws and looked all right.
Yeah, and people were saying that they don't look lizard-like now, and some people were. I agree that they are. If you look at the texture and the face, they got the bone and they got like kind of like a scaly look.
They still look lizard-like. I mean, in a way, they look like they're scaled humans. So yeah, I like them. I mean, it's not bad. I just like the other better, but I don't dislike these models.
Well, the detail and the quality of the detail is awesome. So like, and I want to get into that later when we get our techs in the line. But they really came through with some graphics. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing here, flicking through it, they really did come through in the presentation of it. So they did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice here. All right. Well, that kind of wrapped that up until we could bring that discussion back up a little bit later, right?
Yep.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. All right, guys. So we're going to move on to our meat and taters, which I still don't have a segment transition for because I've been busy with other things. This is a segment where we normally talk about a longer, lengthier subject, and we kind of break it down in a little bit more details. Probably, I don't know. Hopefully it's longer than talking about the Scar.
Sorry, dude.
But so this week's segment or this week's meat and taters, taters and meat, stew. We wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to grind in multiplayer games and MMORPGs being part of that scheme. But we're also talking looter shooters and isometric playstyle games like PoE and Diablo and things like that. So I want to talk a little bit about that. There's a couple things that we talk about, and I think we need to start off with, is grinding fun? Right?
This is interesting. And before you start, I want to try to refresh your memory. And Z, if you're still in the chat, if you're still listening, I think it was you, Z, a couple other people from our old guild. Somebody had mentioned, I don't know who it was, but somebody had mentioned something in WoW, okay, modern day WoW.
Mhm.
To achieve something, you got to grind this rep and you got to do this and that, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I mentioned, I don't know who it was. I'm not saying it was you guys. Excuse me. But I mentioned, I'm like, I kind of like that. I like, working for getting that reward, whatever. I don't even, but all I remember was like, I like that. And then everybody's like, what? You do? You want to spend 4 hours a day doing this and that and this and that? And I'm just saying, I don't mind it. And I had to defend myself. I'm like, I just don't mind it.
Do you think that stems from your experience with old school MMOs and shit?
It does. It does.
Because that's what we were used to, right? Like that's what we knew.
Yeah, and then when WoW kind of evolved, it went away. And when you did have to grind in WoW, it was just kind of a rare deal, So when you did have to grind for something, it was worth the grind, in my opinion. But you can't just take one element and just throw it in there like that and expect people to like it. You know what I mean? If they're not used to grinding in WoW and then they have to grind for something, they're gonna bitch about it.
Yeah, I guess, but I also think I don't know, there's certain people that like grinding, but at the same time, does that make good gameplay? Is the question.
Well, that's another thing I was going to say about this subject is, although I grew up on grinding, I simply don't know if I have the patience and time for it these days. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I don't respect putting in the work for whatever it may be, whether it's grinding XP, reputation, gear, whatever it may be. It's not that I don't dislike it. So let's start here. What made grinding fun back in the day was the community. All right, you had to find a group of friends. So in every old school EQ, it was protocol. They're find a group of boys or girls, preferably girls, in my opinion, and you grind a spot. You pick your camp. You take your camp, and you grind and you grind. And the meanwhile, it becomes just like second-hand nature. You got your puller, your tank, your healers, and you're all efficient on your using your resources. And the whole thing that made that process fun was spending hours and hours in a game and just shooting the shit. Just shooting the shit, talking
I'll
to
agree
people.
with that. There's something to be
people.
said about the teamwork, because one bad pull could wipe your group.
Right.
So there's a coordination, and it's all about efficiency and XP per hour and shit like that. That was really good stuff. And just a quick shout out. What's up, Lex? There, welcome to the stream, man.
Hey, Lex.
But yeah, I look at that and yes, you're technically grinding, but there's a different element, right? That's you playing the game, that's you honing your skills, that's you perfecting your skills, that's hunting, if you will, because I don't know if you guys called them hunting parties, and did you call them hunting parties in EQ?
I've never used that. No. Mm-mm.
Or do they just call it parties?
It's just parties.
Yeah, it stems from the term hunting party, and that's what it was. Old school games, the oldest of the games, it was about getting together and going out and hunting, you finding mobs and grinding them. But I think, again, there's a skill element there. You're learning how to play it. And like Z said, there's a difference between working towards something and grinding for it. He feels that there's something else there. And the thing is I'll agree with that. And I'll use Warframe, for example. We've talked about this before. Is if you needed a material to make something and you had to go get that material because you needed it to make something, a 15-minute mission feels like an hour, right?
Yeah.
But then when you and Tor and Z and I and Reeve or whoever, we go out and we pick a mission and we grind it together, there's this how efficient can we make it? How much can we get? How quickly can we get it, sort of thing? And at the end of the day, we're who gets the most kills kind of thing too. So we make it fun, we make it skill oriented, and we're not thinking about the grind. We're just there to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side with Warframe, if you go out and you get XP and you're grinding XP missions, you're getting materials as like a secondary, you're getting, as a secondary bonus, as a resource. So you're not actually there to grind the materials, you're grinding the XP in a sense. But I guess for me, what I'm saying is, like, if you have something that makes it feel like you're just playing the game, moving forward in the game, and the materials come with it, then, materials, reputation, whatever it may be, then I feel like there's a grind there, but you're not consciously thinking about the grind. But go ahead, you were going to say something.
So you're getting more out of the grind as you're just playing the game. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're grinding because you're trying to achieve something, but you're not really thinking about that thing that you're trying to the grind. You're thinking about the thing that you're trying to achieve.
And that's kind of what I was going to say, is making grinding fun. So, like, example, if I'm playing vanilla WoW, vanilla EverQuest, and I have to go kill 5,000 boars to get to level 3, that is no fun. That was fun back in the day because it was new, but that's not fun at all. And there's never going to be an MMO or a looter shooter that comes out that we can't find something to bitch about, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
and see, Lex is in chat tonight, and I want to give him a shout out to Defend the Night, because remember I showed you that clip of some of their spell particles, and I was like,
yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm going to be using these same abilities, like, make them awesome. Make my grind session. If that game chooses to have grinding in the game, make it cool. At least make me feel like I'm a badass. I don't want a standard fireball, and you know what I mean. Like,
right.
I just make it cool, make it enjoyable.
So you want like BDO combat? You want it to feel like you're always doing combos that you really don't know what you're doing, but you just look badass as hell doing it.
Well, BDO is kind of chaotic.
Oh, it's too much.
It's almost a little too much. Like, I just do this on the keyboard, and I'm doing like a back flip and 100 forward flips and a couple of slashes, and But no, all I'm saying is, like, find a way. If you're gonna have grinding, find a way to make it fun. Because the question was, is grinding fun? No, it's not fun. It used to be, like I said, back in the day when it was new, and you're like in this online game playing with other people on the internet that was never even heard of. So you and 5 other dudes killing a pig and a name pig, that was fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's like, I've done it a million times over. Something kind of new. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I was gonna say, I've been playing Guild Wars for a potential project for Battle Axe, and the way I think you remember this. Some people in chat may have played Guild Wars too, but the way they did it was kind of cool. You have your Vista points, you have your waypoints, you have your hero points. It encouraged you to go to every aspect of the zone, explore it. As you explore it, you get XP. As you explore it, you do your quests. As you explore it, you find vendors. So you're naturally going through the whole entire zone, and you're naturally getting, like you were saying at the beginning, you're all these extra things to make that grind feel worth it. However, if you start a new character, you have to do that all again. And I honestly
hate it.
Don't know how I feel about that, because at the same time I'm making a new character, a guardian, and I find myself going to explore these zones, right? And I'm like, God, I don't really have much time, and 3 hours have flown by, and I got to get this zone done. You know what I mean? So I get the appeal to it, but man, it's a grind in a new sense. But
yeah,
I have to give them props for it, right? For taking their version of grinding and put it in like a new formula. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, and I like that because it's a flow, right? Like there's a good design factor there that like you can start and you can just play the game and enjoy it. And if you want to take in the story, you can, or if you want to play the whole, get the quest, go to the quest point. But as you're going through it, it's not always go kill 10 monsters sort of thing. There's like these little mini stories, like story arcs that take place, and like it just before you know it, you're like, oh, I'm at the far end of the zone, and I've done this actual story that I didn't intend to actually do, but I did it, and here I am, and now I've got to kill a boss and move on to the next zone.
Yeah.
And like it just flows, and it's like a rinse and repeat because the zones, like you scale with those zones. So it's like you can do basically, anything you want in the game. Like I got almost all the way to max level, like into the 50s, just by doing all the starting zones.
And you said something, the scaling. That is, I think that was a topic on a previous Bat Live.
Yeah.
Scaling. Mm-hmm. I hate it. I don't know if I said I loved it back then, but I hate it now because, I mean, like you said, that allows you to do anything that you want. You can go to any zone that you want. That takes away the anticipation. That takes away looking forward to stuff.
But it's different in Guild Wars, though. Remember, because you can scale downwards, right? But you can't scale upwards. So there are like level 30 something zones, level 40 something zones, but you can't go there and quest that zone at level 1.
Okay.
But you can go at level 40 and quest a level 1 zone, and the XP rewards scale. The gear doesn't, but the XP rewards do.
Okay, I've been on that PvP grind, so I haven't seen much.
Like ESO, like what you can make a fresh character, and as long as you can get to like whatever new expansion zone came out, you can fucking do it. And I hate it because you don't feel like you grow.
Yeah, and I will say this: when I started ESO and I got UNZ into it, it was the most. It was the closest experience I came. The feeling, the nostalgic feeling, the awesome feeling of an old school MMO. It was the closest thing I came. That and Path of Exile to EverQuest. And then when they put scaling into the game, it freaking destroyed the game, like in a massive way. It just, I don't think I can ever go back. Because I play these MMOs, I get into them, I appreciate a lot of the mechanics that they implement. I see why they do it and the reasoning behind it. And I say, I'm done with you. You're kind of boring, but eventually I go back,
Right.
Just because I think these days I'm an MMO RPG-aholic, if that's a thing. But us, man, we've been hopping along. Like we've been hopping from game to game here lately. And there's a lot of things from different MMOs. When you play them all, like you kind of miss one thing or another from each different game,
Yeah.
And that's why I said, no matter what game comes out, whether it be Pantheon Saga, the new EverQuest that's coming out, which we should probably talk about that in a future show. There's going to be something to bitch about.
Yeah. So, I mean, but bringing that back to grinding, though, you mentioned PoE. Can you tell me a little bit about the grinding aspect of PoE? Because I have Diablo 2 experience. I don't have any Diablo 3 experience, but I remember how much of a grind Diablo 2 was. But that was kind of the point. Like, that was the Diablo 2 end game. That's what you wanted to do. It was about grinding. And if you didn't want to grind, you're playing the wrong game. So tell me a little bit about PoE.
Well, Path of Exile had a very addicted system, like that, and that's what I said. Like that was the closest to EverQuest type of feeling I had. It was mainly because of the loot, and it's kind of like I don't play a lot of games like Path of Exile, but from what I've seen on YouTube and played with you, it seems like everybody has like a luck finder or a magic finder or something that helps you pick up gear. That was something I was unaware of. So I'm grinding my butt off unaware of these kind of mechanics. But everything that in Path of Exile that drops, everything that drops except for gray items is a piece of currency. So that was the most unique thing ever. I mean, and you could go to any vendor in the game and trade currency you have for a higher version of that currency. And you
Okay.
could take that currency and convert it to another currency. And then you could trade it. It was a very highly trading game. Like,
So it was more like almost like a barter instead of there was no currency, there was no money.
there's no money in Path of Exile.
Right.
No. But you get a chaos orb, you could trade that chaos orb for a good piece of gear, or you could use it on your gear that drops. And in terms of grinding, Path of Exile did maps. So you would get a friend, or you could do it solo, and you would go to this area and you would put in a map that had different stats on it, kind of like Mythics in
Oh,
WoW.
right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It adds like things to the difficulty, if you will.
Yeah, and the more difficulty, the higher the loot, all that sort of thing. And so that was, I would just farm maps. I would get a lot of maps, and I would just grind everything I could do solo. And then on the weekends, when I was hardcore into it, I would have to wait for the weekends for when my friends are on to do the harder level maps. And we didn't always win. It was Path of Exile is very unforgiving on its resistance and armor and health and stuff like that, which kind of takes away from the fun, of doing the big deep deeps.
And I think that's part of it, right? When we talk about grinding, adding a level of difficulty to it, a level of challenge, that takes away some of the that takes away some of the whole grinding aspect of it, right? Like, because you're doing it like Mythic Pluses. Like, how often I was always grinding Mythic Plus when I was playing Legion. And
Right.
it was all about to see how far you could push a keystone up. And it was less about we're doing this for the gear. I mean, it was about the gear. You wanted the gear. But
Right.
you also wanted to see how far you could push yourself, because you knew you were getting a piece of gear at the end of the week too, but based on how high you pushed. But it was also about that challenge. Can we do this challenge? Like, this seems really difficult. Can we achieve what we're attempting to achieve? And I think if there's a level of difficulty to it, it takes away. So there's a couple elements that we've talked about so far. So there is, some sort of motivational driven, good game design that makes your character kind of progress forward, and the grind is kind of supplementary. Like, you don't even realize you're doing it. That adds to the fun element. Challenge makes it fun.
Yeah.
What about, all right, so you haven't done a lot of PvE in Destiny 2, but the little bit that we have done, what are your thoughts on Destiny 2?
Destiny 2, well, I have in a bit, because I played Destiny 1 and I was raiding in Destiny 1. It's very chaotic. It's very like move with the group. It's very I've always explained Destiny like Halo, WoW have a baby, there's Destiny. And from what I've seen on YouTube, I watch a lot of live streamers in my spare time doing raids and stuff on Destiny 2, and it's the same way. Like, you got to be on the go. But in terms of grinding, it's kind of like WoW. Like I was saying, it's WoW and Halo had a baby. Okay. You're gonna do your Vanguard weekly. You're gonna do your Vanguard Nightmare weekly, and then you're gonna do your, I guess we'll call it Mythic. I don't know. I think it's Legend. And then this tomorrow they're coming out with a new difficulty level. So it just gets harder and harder as people get better gear. But the things in terms of grinding is it's a looter shooter, so you're always getting gear left and right. It's just when you get that one piece of gear, it's kind of a rare occurrence. So It's basically like you get all this gear to dismantle for currency to upgrade gear. And that's pretty much it. Like, you get a shit ton of gear, so you can dismantle it for crystals and money and so on and so forth. So you can upgrade that one piece of gear that you get that increases your light level. Then you can apply it to that piece of gear.
But that hits a certain point though, and the only way you're increasing the light level of that piece of gear is by getting maybe a piece of gear that you don't want and then merging it into the piece that you do want, which causes it to increase in light level. And let me tell you, my issue with that is like, as a PvPer, you've got a lot of these quests that incorporate PvP. They're like, go do Crucible or go do Gambit. And you've got to do that, and you need to try to finish that quest. But while you've been doing that, they're just like, oh God, I wish I had a basket of something just to dump out to represent the amount of loot that you get. So they just throw loot at you, right? Yeah. And I've only been doing a few quests that...
Or PvE.
Yes, right. So I'll do a few things where I have to go into Crucible or whatever, but most of the stuff, I'm a PvE focused individual. I don't like the pressure of PvP. It's just, it gets my anxiety going. It's not that I don't like PvP. I just can't do it physically. Like my body can't handle it. So I don't enjoy that. So in Destiny 2, it's basically, and this is why I haven't really had an urge to play it, because you do strikes. And you do strike, and you do strike, you do strike, you do strike, and you get something after 10 strikes, maybe that is 1 or 2 light levels better than what you had already. And you just keep doing it over and over. And you got different difficulties of strikes, and you're going out and hoping that you get something from a chest. And it's so RNG oriented that it's kind of like the Mythic Pluses or... WoW leveling up your weapon, because you had a certain cap, you had to go do X amount of missions every day. And that's what I feel like, is like, I feel like it's this mandatory grind that says, this is your grind, this is your weekly grind, this is your weekly cap, you have to hit this in order to maintain a certain relevancy within the game, so you got to go do this. Whereas somebody like you can jump into PvP because you enjoy PvP, but also if it's not about just a PvP, you've got PvP quests that you can go do, and you're getting all this gear that raised your light level up to like 950 or something like that, right?
Yeah, and like Road 20 just said, what you were saying reminded me of Guild Wars, because when we played Guild Wars 2 back in the day, which is like 2 years ago, I'd never set foot into PvP. And as most people know, I love PvP. PvP is my jam. I love it. But like he just said, they throw loot at you. I mean, it's crazy. If I lose a match, I get a box. If I win a match, I get like 4 boxes. If I rank up, and that's the same thing as Destiny. So if I win a match in Destiny, and I rank up in my PvP rank, and I do really good, and if someone rolls a piece of, I don't know what you call it in Destiny, but if the team wins, they get an extra loot box or whatever. That's just tons of loot. I can't even go on to the next queue without managing my inventory and dismantling stuff. It's too much. It's too much, and it makes it feel like, well, if I get something, it doesn't mean anything. But I think a lot of games these days are going towards that system where you just get loot constantly, and you kind of got to sift through it and look for that piece that's good, and then you kind of just get excited about it. And I'm not sure.
That's the thing. It's like, in a looter shooter, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that in a game like Diablo or PoE or Torchlight, whatever, because that's the game design, right? I don't think that should necessarily be incorporated in MMORPGs. Well, now, what's up?
I'll tell you this. I hate inventory. I hate inventory management. I hate it. And when games are throwing this much loot at you, it just drives me crazy. And that's what Destiny does. That's what Guild Wars 2 does. That's what modern day FPS does. You get so much trade skill stuff. ESO. I mean, it's almost like every game does that. So, and I know we're talking about grinding, but when you're grinding and you're getting all this stuff, it just drives me crazy.
I want to address what Minus has said too. He says, see, here's my issue with this. It's not mandatory. So he's talking about when I said something about, the mandatory doing the quests every day to keep up with, to stay relevant. And he says it's there for people to do. The issue stems from player to player jealousy. I think there's nothing wrong with rewarding playtime. And I'll agree with you there. And coming from a player that typically has invested more time, I want to be rewarded for my time. And if you are a busy person and you can only play a few hours a week, that's not my problem. But the issue that I'm having lately is that I want it to be enjoyable, because I'm 26. I wish I was fucking 26. I'm 36 years old and I've been playing MMOs since I was 16. So it's one of those things where if I've been playing MMOs for the last 20 years, man, I want something that's different. The grinding thing, like Def was saying, it didn't matter because it was a new concept. It was the first time that you got to sit down with people on the internet and actually play a game, and grinding was not that big of a deal. But 20 years later, it's the monotony of it. It's the boredom of it. Like I want to feel like I'm trying to do something else, and the grind just happens. Like, I don't want to try to grind reputation. I want to go do a story, and maybe that story is a short story, but I do that story mission, and it gets me a tier of reputation. And then there's a small patch that comes out a few weeks later. That's the rest of it. It's kind of like the gating that WoW did, because they would put it all in a patch, and then they would gate, what you could do, because you could only do X amount a day. But I don't want it to be the same repeatable quests every day. I want to do I think one of the best times was, did you play during Cataclysm when Firelands came out, right?
Yep.
Do you remember the story of the reputation grind that led up to opening the portal or whatever to go into the Firelands?
Not really, but I did all the dailies, every rep.
and they were kind of repetitive because you did have to do them, but every week they opened up a new thing. And they've been consistent with that with a lot of the expansions, where a new thing will come out, like this patch launches, this is the new reputation that you have to grind, but you can only do this part of it, and then the landscape changes, and then you do this part of it, and then the landscape changes. But during that week, you're doing the same damn quests for or maybe not a week, maybe a couple weeks. You're doing the same damn repeatable quests. And that's what I have a problem with, is back on what Minus was saying, if I've put in the time and I've gone through this storyline, I want to be rewarded for going through that storyline and not make it feel grindy. I don't want to do the same repeatable quest 6 times before the next thing opens up. I want to do that, and then I want to move on to the next thing. And
yeah,
that's what I get tired of in those games. You already getting flying in Legion. You already went through every zone. You got all of your reputation mastered. You went to every little point exploration-wise on the map, and you've achieved these things. Awesome. We're not going to give you flying until you grind this other rep. After you just got done grinding 6 other normal difficulty reps, and then you did the Nightfall area, whatever. You did that whole thing. And then now you got to grind this little tiny island that's got the same series of quests. And it just was Jesus Christ. I get that you don't want me to fly because you want me to take in everything, but I've clearly seen everything. Why do I need to spend an extra 2 weeks grinding out this reputation?
Yeah.
And that's what I grow tired of. Is I want it to be meaningful. And it's like Saga of Leucemia. If you've read any of the articles on their site and things that they have talked about, or listened to anything Renfail has said, as it's not about the milk runs, it's kind of about the experience. And what that says for the end game, they're super early alpha right now, so and the ideas are always changing all the time. But I don't want a game to feel like I'm doing this repetitive thing all the time. I want to feel like I'm in the Fellowship of the Ring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just want stuff to happen. I want to get better at crafting swords out of necessity. I want to get better at mining out of necessity. I want to get better at, sleight of hand out of necessity. I don't want to get better at these things because I have to go run around in circles and mine nodes for the next 6 hours. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because it's so most of us work in real life.
Right.
So you come home to a game, and if that game feels like work, then you're doing 2 jobs.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it. And here's the thing, I don't mind grinding. I don't. But the game has got to have me hooked in. You know what I mean? if I'm gonna grind, it's got to have me hooked in. It's got to be. The process is kind of what you were just saying. The whole process of it needs to be fun. Needs to be something different. Needs to be something.
Like there needs to be mechanisms like, can you grind this faster? Can you be more efficient with it? Can
Yeah.
you, because like we would XP in Warframe, and then we found Hydron, and we were like, okay, this is where we need to XP, and there became an efficiency curve there, and it allowed us to get a bunch of mods that we could turn into Endo, so there was a reward for the reward, but it didn't feel grindy because we would start at the lower tier stuff and like try to find these new grind spots, and then we found this perfect grind spot that was more efficient, and then everything just kind of fell into place. So I think that's one thing, and then I don't know where else I was going to go with that, but anyway, go ahead, continue.
Oh well, no, I'm on board. And to finish off what you're saying about Warframe, I think the developers of Warframe are so tight knit with their community.
Yeah.
That they came out with that, and I can't think of it. You're going to have to do it for that new game mode. Do you remember that? No, it's before that. Right before we quit playing. We go in, and we would do X amount of rounds, and we would back out. You remember that?
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm having a brain fart.
Anyway, it seemed like they were catching on to like, well, doing Hydron and the other two grinding zones were getting old, so they gave us more risk versus reward type scenario to grind in for levels, and that's how we would grind our masteries. And stuff like that is cool.
Yeah, you got a point there. I think that the developers need to be in tune with it, and there needs to be this real-time development. Like even WoW started launching patches quicker, more patches per expansion, quicker than they used to because they wanted to have like an ever-changing universe, if you will. And I think that's what is needed. And the thing is, man, another thing is like I don't mind grinding either. I'm all about grinding. What really takes away from the grind for me is having people to do it with.
Yeah.
When you're doing it by go ahead.
That's what I was saying at the beginning of, back in my EverQuest days. The grinding didn't really make the game. I mean, the fact that there's me and 5 other people killing a pig, that was cool because it was new. The fact that there was a lake in the middle of a zone, people online, and I'm 13 years old, I'm like, whoa, that's another person on this planet, and he's playing a game with me.
Yes.
That was cool.
Which isn't new now.
It's not new now. That's the thing. So, and what made that cool is back in the day, back when I played, there was no Ventrilo, there was no TeamSpeak, anything like that. So you were grinding, you were learning your skills, you were texting on a keyboard, and you were getting to know a person, and that kind of atmosphere developed relationships. I mean, I'm still in contact with some really good friends of mine. Even my old guild leaders, we're friends on Facebook and social media and whatnot. You just don't get that these days. And that's my only thing is, so if you want to grind, if you're going to grind, if you have to grind, make it cool, or at least make the combat so freaking epic that like you want to go home and you want to play that warrior, you want to play that necro, you want to play that rogue, or whatever it may be. Just make the gameplay so damn fun. Put mechanics into the rotation, stuff like that just makes it like so like I gotta play. Like instead of making the grind the addiction or the I must do, make the I want to play my class. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel.
I think like the EQ2 dungeons were a good way to do things. Like I think that's a good way to execute things. Like if you could go into like, I know people don't want instance dungeons and Pantheon. Well, I mean, some people do, some people don't. And I'm indifferent to it. I kind of like the idea of not having an instance because I like being able to run into people. But I think having an instance dungeon that would dynamically change whenever you entered into it could make it fun, right? Like you're trying to get to the end of the dungeon, but every night it's a different experience. It's got mining nodes, it's got other crafting materials, it's got things to skin, it's got herbs to pick, it's got XP to grind, gear to get from chests, new little, this object might appear. I guess kind of like a Warframe map that you might do, because it's a different tile set, it's dynamic, it changes every time. It's procedurally generated.
I don't know why this reminds me of this, but what's that looter shooter game we've been playing with the dwarves?
Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah. The reason I like playing that game is because you're deep diving into whatever core of whatever planet, and you don't know what to expect. So kind of what you were just saying, like maybe there's a chest there, and I kind of think Pantheon might have something like that, with the warrior being able to break through doors and stuff. It won't be instance, which I'm for the instance thing, but maybe in certain scenarios. Like maybe you could queue for a higher difficulty or something like that. I'm
just thinking dynamic changes, something that makes it new. So like when we played EP2 with Minus and Hi-Ah and Militus and others, like what we were doing, it was like we were getting together and we were running a dungeon, and we were running it like every week. We were doing a couple nights a week where we were doing that, and it was fun, right? Like it was just an adventure. You were getting in there, and like if they were to add like okay, you've cleared this one section, you've got to go through this cave section to get to the next section of the dungeon, and through there's mining nodes, and they're not just like one tap and gone. It's like you're in there with your buddies, and it's enough to get you a few levels. And then there's herbs in there, and maybe if you're in a group, you got to decide who's going to get to take what, or maybe, it's available to everybody, whatever. It's just dynamic, procedurally generated, so that it's a new experience all the time. And you're in there for the adventure, for the exploration. It doesn't make it the same dungeon every night when you grind it. And the point is to get to the end of the dungeon, but the process changes routinely. Like it's different. And then you're achieving the same goal as you're doing when you're grinding, but you're actually going and having an adventure.
Yeah, that'd be kind of sick.
We're going to make a game, bro. I wish I had the aptitude for that. Well, I mean, anything you want to add to this?
I could keep going on this subject, man. And here's the thing. And I guess I'll close with this. I like grinding. But does grinding like me? I don't know. Because here's the thing, man. If grinding is going to take 4 to 5 hours of my night, it becomes eternal.
Yeah.
So the question we asked was, is grinding fun? When it comes to that type of grinding, yeah, when I get in a nursing home and nursing homes have this Wi-Fi that's awesome, and I have my laptop on my wheelchair, bro, I'm down to grind, 24/7. But I just can't. I literally cannot do it and keep up with my friends. And we go through this type of thing all the time. Like where our close group of friends, we all start a game. Someone gets ahead. Things of that nature, and it's like it gets frustrating. And then that's where they most games implement scaling, and that's like, oh, cool. Well, you can group with your friends anytime you want, but then it kind of takes away from the immersiveness, I guess you would say, of the game, the looking forward to stuff. So, is grinding fun? My answer is no. Although I don't hate it. You know what I mean? I grew up on it.
So
I love it.
I'll wrap this up by saying I think it has its place, right? The grind is for people who like grinds.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does it need to be incorporated into every game? I mean, if you want to attract every player base, every player for your player base, if you will. I don't think grinding belongs in every game. And I think, like Warframe, you have to read your community. And you don't put something into a game to try to attract a certain type of player unless it's an optional feature, if somebody can achieve the same thing through a different means. Like, that's why when you have a PvP game that has PvE or a PvE game that has PvP. I don't like that. I like a game that has both and it synergizes well, like where you can PvP and have a similar outcome to somebody who PvEs and vice versa. So you can have a similar gaming experience, but different elements. But I mean, you have games like a lot of these Korean MMOs that have a really hard curve toward the end when you're grinding XP. You know, a lot of those people, you know, from those countries, they like to grind games out like that. And it's like a superiority thing. Like, I'm level 61 and you're level 60, but it took me a year to get from level 60 to 61. And, you know, and I had to play 12 hours a day to get it. So it's just one of those things where, like, I think it has a place for people. Like, you know, you've been there where you just turn on some music, you crack open a beer, and then you just go grind, and you're just grinding mobs for XP. Like, that's, you know, it makes it palatable for you because you're not really tuning into that grind factor. In a way, you're not even playing the game, you're just on autopilot. And I think that takes away from the fun element of a game.
Especially with so many games that are out these days. You know what I mean? These emulators that we played, there's been often times where, like, I remember I loved this. I really did. I love the aspect of it, but I can switch to a more modern game and it looks pretty, it's fun, I'm active, I'm blowing stuff up, I'm getting some steam off my chest. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm talking single player games. I'm talking, you know, I'm a PvPer though. I know I'm getting some hate for that, but, or judgment from that, I should say. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a point to where you want to come home, you want to play the game, you want to dedicate your game time to something that you enjoy. Yeah. And sometimes grinding just ain't it.
Absolutely. And then, like I said, vice versa. So is it fun? You know, it's got a place. Is it bad? Again, it's got its place, you know. And if you're playing a game that's got a huge grind and you're not into the grind and there's no other elements for you that you really enjoy, there's probably, in this landscape of games that we have, there's probably something out there that you would enjoy far more, and there's no reason for you to continue playing something you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? You just play what you like, and if you're bored with what you're playing and you can't find something else to fill that gap, then it just is what it is, man. And that's just how things work.
GTFO.
Look, I'm not a big clothing person, man. I go shopping for pants like once every 4 or 5 years. And every time I go shopping for pants, the styles are different, the sizes are different, the brands have changed, the colors are different. And that's just how it is, man. That's the landscape of things. And the same thing applies to games. Shit changes. And it ain't about you as a single person or even a small minority of people that fall into your category. It's about, at least in today's landscape, for the most part, it's about making money and attracting as many players as possible. And if that's an MMO trying to get a bunch of Fortnite players playing so that way they can make a buck, that's probably not the game you want to play. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, it is up to the player, you know. If you don't like it, don't play it.
So
but
I think,
for God's sake, one more thing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Let the developers make their own damn game.
Amen.
That's all I want to say. You know, if you don't like it, don't play it. If you like it, play it. It's simple. Sorry.
All right, man. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Good conversation. It's nice to see people chatting amongst themselves in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the contributions. A lot of stuff that I was able to kind of glance at and take a little bit off of to kind of further the discussion a little bit. But I think we're going to move on here where we get the community involved. Something is happening. Hold on.
Uh-oh. It's probably some TV
I don't know if
ear.
Okay. This happens every time at like the wrap-up section, dude. Like when we get to this part, it starts to get fucky. But
we're cursed.
We're good. I think we're good. So why don't we go ahead and wrap up, starting with our nice little segment here.
Oh man, this is such a juicy rant topic.
I'm sorry.
Hello?
But the person you called
Hello?
has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye.
Oh, what the hell, guys? Voicemail, texts, and assholes.
Whoa, clicked all the wrong buttons again.
I saw the cursor. I'm like, is he? And he did it.
All right, so this week on VTNA, I accidentally closed them all. Do you have the text pulled up?
Well, we got a new one in.
Oh, uh-oh.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. Read them all off, brother.
Okay. Yeah, because this is what I was talking about in the nerd. How about those in-game race models? They look amazing. 2 years ago, when I started following Pantheon, I resigned myself to the idea that the graphics would be subpar, but it was okay because it was the gameplay that matters. Well, not anymore. Those character models look great. Can't wait to play. And that was from Drax Attack. And that's what I was saying, dude. So we know they're working on every little aspect, and I hate to sound bitter or mean here, but like all these people bitching and whining and crying, like shut the fuck up. I'm sorry I'm going unfiltered. We didn't have a rant here, so maybe I can rant a little bit about this, man.
Hold on. Do we need to click the rant button?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go,
ahead,
guys. This was impromptu.
The bill, and holy shit! And for the love of all the gods that have ever existed, son of a bitch!
She turns into a
Edit.
dragon.
And you're holding up the group, Larry. God! Let's just get into it.
All right. Get your soapbox.
So all I'm saying is all these people bitching about Pantheon. Like, I was on the Facebook today, bro, and people were like, I don't mean to be rude, but like, when is the right opportunity for Pantheon to let us know pre-alpha day? It's like, bro, follow the damn channel, tune into the live streams, follow the people that are covering the game, and just realize that they are carefully and doing it at their own pace. They're an indie development team, so just let them do what they want to do. And I saw this comment today, Punk, that said, it's like, from the way I look at it, this is what they were saying. Is there's so many games that are out right now that I could be playing until Pantheon comes out. I'm just letting that be. So I'm just going to play. It is what it is. When the game comes out, I will play the game. So why are these people just bitching about the graphics, And then here we have this reveal of the new race models that look absolutely fucking awesome. Yeah. So that's my rant.
And I'll say, I've brought this up in the past, and we've had this discussion, and the community has had this discussion. I feel like there's a certain level of transparency, but at the same time, like, I think we all kind of came to the conclusion that we just need to be Pantheon patient, right? We made a video on it. Tess got this whole thing hashtag started. Pantheon patient. There's other shit to do. Find something else to do.
And it doesn't mean you're not excited about it, right?
Right.
I'm excited as shit for Pantheon. Like, when Pantheon comes out, I will make it known I'm playing that game, and it's got, so far from what I've seen, it's got everything I want in an MMORPG. I'm excited. I'm pumped. But in the meantime, I'm not going to sit around, mope around, bitch, and post on the forums and post on Reddit and post on other content creators' comments and bitch about it and be like, well, we don't even know if it's going to come out. And the biggest complaint that I have is they're saying it's vaporware. Bitch, when EverQuest Next was announced, we didn't have any gameplay.
Yeah, we didn't. So, we're not just getting demos. I mean, we're getting gameplay demos in the form of like mostly complete zones in a way that Co is able to go through and play. And they've also had things back before they got all their custom assets, where to show that concepts were in play. I mean, we've seen similar things with other things we've been doing. So it's like, you know, just let them do what they've got to do. And I just think it's cool that, you know, they switched over to this platform where they're doing these live streams, and it's basically all we could have asked for. It was to come on and give us this like live update every once in a while. It's a lot better than a shitty newsletter. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, dude. And I don't want to say too much because I do have, I have a Pantheon video in the works.
Cool.
So I want to save it all for that.
Well, let me go ahead and read the last text here. And guys, if you're interested in doing some of these rants, you know, be sure to shoot, you know, if you want to get in and have your voice heard and you've got something you want to get off your chest and you want to rant about something, we do have a segment that's the community rant. Give us a text. I'm going to switch over to our last scene here. We're going to get things started with our wrap up while we read this last text here. So the last text here says that, and this one I think was specifically meant for Def, Tool sucks. And this is from an anonymous Deftones fan. He says also, P.S. so do elves.
What? How dare you? And I know who this person is. I absolutely do. I think.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same person. I can see in the history. Tool does not suck. I'll tell you who sucks. Minus.
Minus sucks. All right, guys. So yeah, just to kind of wrap things up, if you could reach out to us you can contact us via Twitter. You can hit us up on Facebook. You can join in the Discord, which the link is in the description, and you can shoot us messages that way if you want to have your voice heard, or you can shoot us a text or give us a call and leave us a voicemail. If you leave us a voicemail, we'll play your voicemail on air as long as it's okay and it's not going to violate any terms. So yeah, please do that.
I like what Lex said.
Hold on, the phone number's here. It's 725-333-2285. All right, what'd Lex say?
Can I just call and hit on Punk?
I mean you could leave a message. I'm not going to answer it because it's more like an answering service than anything, but I would really appreciate that. I could every sexy lady could use some compliments once in a while. So yeah, again, you can find this on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. If you'd like to join in the conversation, check out the Discord link in the description. If you guys want to see any of the news articles that we talked about in the earlier session today, be sure to check out the links in the description. And if you could, we know that you guys are here, are familiar faces. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Regardless, if you could share our content and let people know that we as Battle Axe Theater are back, it would be awesome to have additional people here watching us and contributing to the conversation, so that way we can build our platform here and have some other things to talk about in the future and kind of figure out what everybody wants. So if there's anything that you like or you dislike, let us know in the comments. This VOD's going to go up shortly after this, and we'll have some news on the whole Patreon situation probably somewhere closer to the end of the month or early next month. Do you have anything you want to add, Def?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out and spending your Monday night with us, because if your Monday sucked and then you watch this stream, that's awesome. So just no, for real, just thank you guys. It's very cool to have some people to talk to, and yeah, appreciate ya.
You know, I just realized that I didn't update the stream title again. It still says season 2 episode 14.
I noticed that at the very beginning, but what could I do? You know
it is. This is going to be a perpetual season 2 episode 14 for like the next 6 months.
Yep, we're gonna get this right one day, guys.
One day.
I promise.
We'll figure out how to do it. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming out. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. Like Def said, we really appreciate you spending your Monday evenings with us. If you could give us a share, we'd really appreciate that. And until next time, see you later.
Later!